Last Monday, we discussed about Sila Sampada, the accomplishment in morality. And there we learned that for a layperson, and when a layperson is to think about the next life till we attain Nibbana, Sila, morality, plays a bigger role. That's why the Buddha asked Vyagapacha or Dighajanu to pay more attention to morality as well. And today we are going to pick up the third accomplishment, which is called Caga-sampada. How do you pronounce that? Caga. C long A G A. Caga-sampada. Someone might think about why did the Buddha not pick up the Pali word dana, D long A N A. Why was it Caga-sampada? Why was not it Dana-sampada? That means when it comes to giving, Buddha used two types of activities which people are engaging. Dana activity and Caga activity. Sometimes not all Dana activities are Caga activities, but Caga activities are already Dana activities. Dana is happening in the Caga activity, but not all the Dana activities can be Caga activities. So there is a difference. So we are going to learn about that difference today, especially this is the Katina period, and everybody would like to offer Katina robe, Chivara, right? This is the mentality, mindset that most of the devotees are having this time. And not even the Katina period that brings us to think about Dana or Caga, but also our daily mindset. Now think about a devotee is to go to a temple vihara and offer some dana to Sangha members and joining that dana activity. Sometimes they have something called Mahasangika dana, right? Dana given to many monks. So at the same time, we already discussed this actually, different forms of dana, volunteering, giving time, right? So I think dana concept, although not many of you have learned it that much with regard to Caga. I think in this class we discussed Caga a few times, if I can remember. Remember when we discussed about Pattakama Sutta? We discussed Caga-sampada a little bit. But today we are learning Caga-sampada accomplishment in giving and giving up from a bit expanded perspective. So learning about how to do the dana and how to make our dana a Caga is very important. Why? For many people, they think that it is the normal charity that is meant by the dana. Is charity a new concept to all religious people? No, charity is a very simple concept. Even charity is a very simple concept for the politicians, right? Across the globe, there are a lot of charity activities sometimes. Even some other people joining, even those people, they might be perhaps giving money just before the election in some countries, maybe distributing certain things with certain ulterior motives, right? So there are NGO organizations who are operating in some places, but their ulterior motive in that charity could be something else, right? So that means charity, charity might not necessarily be the chaga. That's why the Buddhist concept of generosity is different from the normal charity concept that many people are engaging in religiously or non-religiously. Charity has been politicized. Charity has been contextualized depending on where and who is doing that, and also when it is going to happen, right? Sometimes charity is politicized depending on when that charity is going to happen, right? Or maybe depending on the audience. Because Buddhism looks at charity from an ethical perspective. It is not that I buy something and I go and give to somebody. That is not the higher level of generosity in Buddhism. Buddhism asks every single donor to check whether they have the ethical purity during the time or before the time, after the time of that particular generous activity. If they don't have that ethical purity, then it will merely become a certain transactional activity. So that means we, as students here in the Sutta study, Mani Sutta study, it is very important for you to understand what the Buddha meant by his generosity. So rather than picking it from the Pali word dana, I would say simply you put it as generosity. Dana is one way to do it, and chaga is the higher level of doing it. Right? It's not that we are picking up dana over chaga or chaga over dana, but chaga is the higher level of doing it. The proper, I would say, the true proper way of doing it. Right? Now think about in your personal life, how many people are supporting you sometimes? When some of the people were to support you, you don't know that they expected certain things from you, right? Isn't it? You never know until they said something to you. You know, we did a lot of things for you, but you are not paying back. You are not grateful to us. Right? Yes, of course, we are supposed to be grateful to everybody. If we are not, that is our problem. But when they tell things like that, in a way, we understand, yes, we have a problem with regard to gratitude management. On the other hand, they seem to have taken it very personally. They have not given up the help that they gave to us. Right? So, a person who is practicing Buddhist type of generosity that spans from dana to chaga does not keep any strings attached to the giving. Oh, I gave this much money to you, I did this for that place, this place. They don't normally keep it. It is also a level of individual personal journey. Because when they are to give things to other people, that was the very moment they give up any credits, any, I would say, acknowledgement sometimes from those personal people. Acknowledgement is bonus. Credits are bonus, I mean, if they are to say that. So I'm talking about a general dana activity. So that is it doesn't mean that saying a thank you is not important. It's very important. Right? That's why when you offer dana, what do the monks do for you? You bring dana to the vihara. You buy or you make the food. And you place them on a table. And then what are the monks saying to you? You come and touch the table, right? And you offer the whole table, right? Not even the food, the whole table at the end. And then they're asking you, now make your wishes, right? I don't know what kind of wishes you made during those times. Now make your wishes while you are touching this table, right? And then what happened after that? Then it is said that, okay, you offer the dana now. Now If you want to offer individually, you may offer. Otherwise, Sangha members will take what they want. Right? You don't want to pester any monk, any nun. Bhante, this dessert, I made it today around 4 a.m. You know what I mean, right? And then there was a certain intimidation for the Sangha member, so you must eat it and tell me the taste or whatever. And we are not pestering anybody. If you want it, you eat. Oh, I bought it from somewhere. This is from XYZ country. What do you mean by that, XYZ country? You have to eat it, right? Right? So we are not supposed to pester any Sangha member in giving dana because we don't know what health problems they have. And that is not even appropriate. It's not that you are serving one of your friends, right? When they come out to your house, take some more rice, take some more dessert, take some more pastry, have some more snacks, have some more cashews, whatever. That's a different way of asking friends and family to eat something, maybe out of your close friends. But when it comes to that kind of a spiritual activity, it's better not to, uh, you know, not to market it on the time. It might sometimes intimidate them. But some Sangha members are asking, what is this in this particular item? They might ask you what they want to know what is inside, right? So I mean, you have to tell this is XYZ particular thing. So what we need to understand at that point is, even when it comes to giving, we don't have to intimidate anybody. Simply speaking, that's a very normal thing. And on the other hand, let's say now you offer the thing I wanted to tell you was something else. Now you offer, now they are having the lunch or breakfast. And then what will happen? Once they finish eating, are they heading back to the vihara or kuti or the room, Sanghavasa? Are they doing that? Or what, are they doing something else? No. After they finish dana, they are supposed to give a Dhamma talk or a blessing. This was the Buddha's advice. You are eating lay people dana and you just don't acknowledge and you just go back to your vihara for your meditation practice. How selfish is that? Right? That's a very selfish activity. So for people who are donating food, requisites, you have to acknowledge and give a Dhamma talk. The best thing the Sangha member can do is Dhamma talk, not compliments. A good Dhamma talk about what will happen with regard to what they are doing. So if people are doing something wrong, this is akusala. This is what you will get. If they are doing good things, this is kusala. This is what you will get. So people have a clear understanding. Moral aspects, right? Not that flatter any devotee just because they are doing more than another devotee. Not that exaggerating somebody's dana over somebody else just because temple needs more funds or whatever. Right? They are not necessary at that point because that will take us to a certain unnecessary level. Because Buddhism finally is about mental states, nothing else, right? Buddhism is not about temples. The Dhamma talk, Sutta discussion, it's nothing about. It's not about Vesak, it's not about Katina, it's about mental states. It's about managing our mental states. That's why the Buddha said, Mano Pubbangama Dhamma. All this is made by the mind, thoughts. So if we cannot take care of our thoughts, but we are building temple by temple, we are talking sutta by sutta, we are practicing meditation by meditation, that will not help us to practice what the Buddha said. Building a temple is a good thing. Giving Dhamma talk, conducting a sutta study like this, very good. Right? But on the other hand, if we are not able to take care of our thoughts, then we have lost the basic, very basic fundamentals of the Buddha's teachings, right? So why did the Buddha ask Sangha members to give a Dhamma talk after devotees offered dana? To be grateful for what they offer. That's very interesting. That means uh, whether devotees expected or not, um, Sangha members' responsibility is to give a Dhamma talk about what is dana and what will happen when someone offers dana. I remember a long time ago, I think I shared with you this story. There was a Caucasian white monk, Canadian monk, who was invited by a Sri Lankan Buddhist temple in Canada. Long time, perhaps more than 20 years. And then, a lot of Westerners, a lot of fun, not everyone. They sometimes don't happen to have stayed in a typical Buddhist monastery in a Theravada country, Sri Lanka, or especially Sri Lanka in this case. So what happened was that he learned a lot of suttas and books, right? And then I think he became a monk somewhere. Finally, a group of people in a certain province in Canada, Sri Lankan devotees, invited him to come to a vihara. So they were very happy. And now he is there at that time. Right? So when people brought dana over to the temple, offered dana, these Theravada countries have different rituals, right? Different customs, especially the pouring water into the empty cup till to the point that it overflows. So this idea is coming from Thailand, right? This is not a Sri Lankan idea, but it's a good idea because not everybody can understand how do good karmas go to somebody's next life, right? So this is a symbolic representation. What happened? The idea is that I think Sri Lankan idea is more refined now. They have refined the Thai idea, so they are putting an empty cup on a certain plate, and there is a jug of water on the other side. At the end of the dana activity, what is happening is that monks are asking devotees to pour that jug of water into the empty cup until the empty cup flows over. So the idea is that the jug of water represents the good karma which the devotees have been doing. Because karmas are abstract, right? You can't see them exactly. So I think this idea is interesting when you are pouring the water, right? And what happened was that the particular Sangha member didn't like the idea. He said, this is not our duty. This is devotee's duty. And you offer the dana to me and then you do it and you go, right? So people were not happy about it, right? So they were not happy because that's why we have to understand the cultural context, right? Because the Buddhism that we see in the books that we have to learn, but when it comes to the practice, we have to understand how to be in line with the Buddha's ideas with regard to performing those activities, right? Now, when the devotees offer dana every day, it's very important to give a short Dhamma talk, talking about the importance of dana. How does it connect to the Noble Eightfold Path? And then help them perform the merit transference activity. I think that's a very beautiful activity, right? It is like chanting, right? Now, a Sangha member is to chant you. At the end, they are giving you what are they doing here? They are sprinkling water, right? So why are they sprinkling water? If the chanting is a beautiful and powerful statement, why are they trying to make it through certain objects? Because not everybody can feel the chanting through the chanting. Maybe they don't understand Pali. Maybe they haven't read the suttas very well. So I think it's important. There's nothing wrong with that thing. It's good. In some countries, even they are asking devotees to drink the water, less water. countries like Sri Lanka, they are giving the water to drink. Right? So, I mean, all these activities are telling something. That means when Sangha members are offered generosity from the devotee side, it is important for them to show enough gratitude to the devotees. That's a human quality, right? That is not even a human quality. Yeah, you can see even from the dogs. If you give some food, they are wagging the tail. They are showing you the gratitude, right? I think it's a basic sentient beings activity. But Sangha members, they have a much more uh, lofty way of expressing those things. At the same time, devotees are also showing their gratitude towards Sangha members. How are they showing that? They are offering robes, they are offering other things, right? I think the best way to show them the gratitude could be to follow what they are saying. That could be the greatest. Otherwise, what is happening is that Sangha member is giving something to you and then you give back something, you go home. Right? So the best way to show the gratitude is to follow the correct teachings in their Dhamma life. Okay, so with this background thing, now I'm going into the Caga-sampada. I just wanted to share with you, some of the very background stuff. Right? Let's get into the text. Day 96, Caga-sampada. Accomplishment in giving and giving up. May I know why? I mean, I already shared with you. Why did I put it as giving and giving up? Normally, giving is called dana, right? And giving up is normally called chaka. Because somebody might be a little bit curious and then kind of confused why there are two words. Actually, these two are two different activities when it comes to generosity. That means giving and then giving up. Because many people can give, but they cannot give up, right? Give up means a certain attachment towards what they have given, right? So there was a question somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago here. The question was that Buddhists are supposed to let go, right? Right? Nekama. So that means if a Buddhist is to break up with someone, it's easy for them to move forward because they can let go, right? Supposedly. So the idea is that the activities that they are engaged with in their Dhamma life should focus around this Chaga perspective. Chaga is not simply giving up. You are giving up by understanding why you are giving up, why you need to give up those things, right? But there are certain things that you are not supposed to give up, right? What are those things? Right effort, your energy, Dhamma energy. You should never give up, right? Is it easier for you to give up Dhamma energy over becoming lazy? Yes. You can become lazy very fast. But keeping the Dhamma energy, maintaining Dhamma energy, that is a little bit tedious task, right? So there are certain things that we don't have to give up. But we know why are we not supposed to give up them in that context. But here giving up means any strings, any attachments, any clinging with regard to dana activity. Right? So my suggestion, I would tell you the conclusion here, just to let you know the overall idea. Caga-sampada means every time when you are generous with regard to food, with regard to money, with regard to your time, with regard to your commitments, with regard to your volunteer activities, try to give up that mental clinging towards that you could think with regard to their return perspective, return thoughts. Right? What do you call them? In finances, they might call ROI, yeah? Return of investments. We are not supposed to think about this ROI with regard to Dhamma things, right? Otherwise, we will maintain it as a financial liability. So that's the idea of dana and chaga. So initially, you are engaging in dana activity, but before, during, after, when you look at about your dana activity, you are not supposed to create those clinging perspectives with regard to what you have given and all that. Then you are not able to practice Caga-sampada. Now, the Buddha is asking people to make Caga to the level of accomplishment. What is it meant by accomplishment? Now, everybody can do dana. Caga is a little bit higher level, which we discussed today. But why did the Buddha ask people to take it to the accomplishment? Sometimes we are doing a lot of things, but we are not accomplished, right? You may engage with a lot of things, but you may not have come to a certain accomplishment. That means our dana chaga level should come to an accomplishment. Accomplishment means a certain higher level. So this higher level can only be reached by practicing chaga, not even dana. So dana is the primary activity, chaga is the higher activity with regard to that dana activity. Okay, let's see the Pali section in the Sutta, Dighajanu Sutta. Can we all read in our own way? Katamacha Vyagapacha Caga-sampada. Ida Vyagapacha Pulaputto Vigata Mala Maccherena Chetasa Agarang Ajja Vasati. Mutta Chagu Payatapani Vossagarato Yacha Yogo Dana Sanvibhagarato Ayang Vuchati Vyagapacha Caga-sampada. Okay, now if you can see over here, the Buddha is teaching us that all lay people, regardless of lay people too, anybody who is generous has to engage in generous activity in few ways. One is Mutta Chago, then Payatapani, Vossagarato, Yacha Yogo, Dana Sangvibhagarato. Okay, there are 5 things that one has to be very much concerned. In addition to these 5, there is one more. Let us put it as 6. Vigata Malamaccherena Chetasa, Mutta Chagu, Payatapani, Vossagarato, Yacha Yogo, Dana Sangvibhagarato. Let's take a look at what these particular activities which we have to cultivate in our generous activity. Katamacha Bhagapacha Caga-sampada Ida Pulaputto Vigata Mala Maccherena Chetasa. So that means you are supposed to have a mind with a mind free from stain of stinginess. Macchere. Normally when we talk about dana, a lot of people understand a very buzzword that we discuss with regard to dana, which is called lobha. But here the word, Pali word that is shown by the Buddha is macchere. We call it maccharya. Maccharya. Lobha and maccharya. Now the Buddha is asking lay people to be free from maccharya. May I know what is the difference between lobha and maccharya? What is lobha? Lobha means greed, right? Lobha means greed. Are we all greedy by default? By degree, right? We have greed in our own ways. So lobha is a very basic basic bad virtue that we all have. Sometimes lobha can be a survival activity too, right? Some people, they hoard stuff, their sentimental stuff. They don't want to give away. Sometimes they cannot even go to their rooms in their houses. There are a lot of stuff in those rooms because they don't want to give away. They can't let go, right? Because every item they bought long time ago has a memory. And they have given that memory. That memory has become too much memory. Right? It's not that easy to let go this stuff. Sometimes there are arguments happening between family members, among family members as well in the family. Why are you keeping a lot of stuff in this house? Right? Why can't you let go? Why are you hoarding? You are a Buddhist. A Buddhist cannot be a hoarder, right? Right? So the Pali word lobha means greed. Greed is a basic nature of every sentient being, including human being. But the important thing that we can notice with regard to many people, with regard to what you call lobha, is that some people are more greedier than other people. But greed is a normal virtue. Then may I know what is Macharya? The other word which the Buddha mentions here, Macharya. Macharya means stinginess. What is the difference between greed and stinginess? Which one is more visceral? Could be more harmful in our Dhamma journey. Right? Acharya could be more visceral, more harmful in our, or more dangerous in our Dhamma journey. Why is it? Macharya is a further extension of the lobha. Now think about it. Everyone has lobha. But what if someone is coming up with macharya, stinginess? Now stinginess, what is the basic nature of stinginess? Someone who has macharya or stinginess does not want to give to other people because that particular person does not like that recipient is to enjoy what he or she gives. So then this is not even a problem with regard to giving. This is also a problem with regard to jealousy. This is also a problem with regard to hatred. Now normally lobha is lobha, right? People are simply greedy. But when it comes to macharya, it will take us to some more damaging mental states. Right? Have you seen people who have macharya? You may have seen them. They don't want to share with you. Not that they are having only that particular item, but they don't like you to enjoy it. Right? There are things like that. So the Buddha said, I am not very much concerned about your lobha. Lobha is no lobha. You will overcome it. I am concerned about your macharya part. Right? As lay people, pay more attention to macharya part. Now, when Sangha members are giving Dhamma talks in the Dana ceremony, I pick up this part because you will understand. What are they saying when they were giving Dhamma talks? They are saying this Dana activity should be done without lobha, without dosa, without moha, right? Now suppose you have macharya, then you can't give dana without dosa. Why? You have dosa. You have dosa with regard to a dana activity. Why? You don't like to give because you don't like these people enjoy their stuff. So now in that example, you understand Lobha is there. That means Lobha is already there. You are trying to overcome. But what if you come up with dosa? When you have Macharya means you have dosa. Then you are not able to do it without dosa. You have some sort of hatred towards what's happened. Maybe you don't like to truly let go of what you have. Maybe you don't like certain people who are in the recipient side, right? I don't want to give to you because I don't like you, right? That activity is coming from Machari, not from Loba. Okay. So that's why the Buddha is saying, lay people, you are supposed to be more concerned about your Macharya part. Loba part is already there. You are slowly overcoming that. Now, even having Loba, you are giving dana, you are doing a lot of things, right? But what if that you come up with Macharya that will stop you, that will kill your spirituality slowly, like a silent killer, right? We have silent killer things happening, right? Think about all these non-communicable diseases, right? Sicknesses. It's like that. If you have Macharya, it will silently kill your spirituality. That's why the Buddha asks lay people that you have to watch out for your Macharya path. Okay, so then in order to practice Caga-sampada, now we understand the Buddha asks you to free your mind from Macharya, Vigata Mala Macha. Actually, the Buddha said Mala Macharya. Mala means stain. Actually, I could tell this as a rusty. You have some rust, oxidized rust in your spirituality. What is the rust part in the spirituality? What do you call mala? Mala means rust, right? That means our spirituality can get rusty. Why? When we don't use it, it becomes oxidized. It's the same thing that will happen to certain steel, right? They will become oxidized, rusty, and you can't use it. Not even you can't use it. If your skin gets irritated with that part, you will get tetanus, right? So many problems are happening when something becomes rusty. That's why the Buddha said Macharya is a rusty problem. It oxidizes, it will make your spirituality rust, not the Loba itself. So the Buddha asks you to free yourself from this rusty avarice or stinginess. So what can you do then? And what can you do? Now you understand that you have to overcome this Macharya. What can you do? Every time when you want to give something to someone, make sure that you don't have any hatred, any anger, any hatred, any jealousy towards those people, right? That is how you're going to make it. And never ever come to a point in your life that you are not giving something to someone because you don't like them. Your generosity has to be an open activity. It shouldn't be a close activity. If it has become a close activity, then you are troubled by the Macharya problem. The rusty stinginess has been taking you over at that point. Okay, so then this is how you're going to make sure that I am not on the side of stinginess. Okay, and then now let us look at the other part. Now we discuss already, we have 6 things to discuss. Now the other activities with regard to dana activity, I would say generous activity. Kulaputto vigatamala maccherena chetasa agaran ajjavasati. A layperson lives in a house with a mind which is free from rusty stinginess. Is it possible for you to live in a house when you live in when you stay in your house? Is it possible for you not to have stinginess with regard to the things. It might be difficult, right? Because of the income and expenses, maybe the skyrocketing essential items, right? The prices of essential items, maybe the dues, taxes, right? So you might be very much concerned about where to spend the money, who to give the money, right? This is a very normal thing, right? You will manage it. But what is more important in this understanding is that you have to notice, you have to check, you have to watch whether you are creating a certain underlying behind the scene hatred towards anybody with regard to that, right? Somebody might come up with an idea, why should I pay a lot of tax to the government? Why should I pay a lot of tax to my salary to the government? What are they doing for me? I don't like this idea of giving my money to XYZ people. Yes, paying tax to the government is a responsibility of a citizen. But how much tax should be paid is a different thing, right? But the thing is that when I'm giving consciously, when I'm doing it as a responsibility, do I create a certain hatred towards anybody? Is what you have to be monitored, right? But if there is any unfairness, injustice with regard to your money, you will raise your voice in the proper way, right? Then you can't just overlook it. You will raise your voice in the proper ethical way. But other than that, you are not supposed to create a certain, what in the West they call it righteous anger. We don't have righteous anger in Buddhism. In the Western countries, they have something called righteous anger. You can be angry for a righteous reason. But the Buddhist way is that anger is anger, right? There is no righteous, unrighteous. Anger is anger. Akusala is akusala, right? Akusala cannot be kusala. And kusala cannot be akusala, right? So that's why we have to watch, monitor whether we are forming a certain macharya stinginess, that means hatred towards why I'm not giving to this person, why I'm not giving to this particular place has to be watched. If you don't like, you don't have to create stinginess, you don't give. Sometimes you understand there is a place that I should not give because I'm not feeling happy that they are using my donation in the proper way. So you better not to give that, but don't create hatred towards it. You are doing as such because you know there is a reason for me not to donate that, right? So, anyways, if you are creating any hatred towards recipient, that will take you to a certain macharya level, which is what the Buddha said, lay people, you cannot live like that in your house. You have to live without much, at least try not to have that mental state, try to overcome it. So, while overcoming Macharya, maintaining the opposite of Macharya, what are you supposed to do? Number one, what is it? Mutta Chago. Mutta Chago means, now Chago means giving up, Mutta Chago, liberated in giving up. Okay, so can we liberate by giving up? This is not Nibbana, okay? This is not the Nibbana type of liberation. When you really give up, what do you think? Would you feel a kind of liberation? Think about some of the donations, some of the activities, generosity type of things you've done. Were you able to come to a certain liberation? I'm very free now. I gave it up. Have you felt that feeling? It's a liberation, right? How can we see that liberation? Giving something and giving up versus carrying that heavy weight in life. Sometimes when you carry those heavy feelings, it's very heavy on you. Normally, when we carry things over our shoulders, we know that we will put them on the ground. But when you carry those very much inconvenient, uncomfortable, heavy feelings with regard to people, loved ones, it will make you feel very tight. At the same time, feel very much inconvenient, uncomfortable with regard to your thoughts. So that's why when you engage in giving up, you will come to a certain secular type of freedom that you deserve, right? So yeah, that's a very interesting thing in our life to think about. That means liberation is not only nibbana. There are a lot of liberations before the nibbana, right? So how do we get to that point? We have to give up. Give up means not even giving, but also giving up through our mental thoughts. That's very important. So mutta chago means, so the second thing that you have to be very much concerned with regard to your generosity is that try to get to a liberation. I would tell this as a daily liberation, daily freedom when you are giving something. When you look back, I have nothing to be concerned. I totally gave up. I'm so happy. I'm so relaxed. I'm so relieved. What a very good feeling is that, right? Versus someone who has done something good and thinking, what can I get out of this? Today I offered dana. Will I become a deva in the Tusita heaven next life? Huh? Will I get this and that? Will I get this? Will I get that? So, uh, being able to obtain a daily liberation, freedom, by thinking according to Chaka, versus giving and expecting a lot of burden into one's life is the example here to think about. I mean, Mutta Chaka way. So, if you are properly be generous, you should be able to have freedom in your life, right? That's very important. That's the second thing. Third thing, payata pani. What is it? Payata pani. Pani means, what is pani? Pani means, this is not pani in India, okay? Pani in India means water. Give me pani, give me pani. Not that pani. This pani means hand. This is called hand. But what kind of hand is this? Payata pani. Open hand. Do you have an open hand? Yes, our hands are open all the time. But do we have an open hand with regard to our generosity? Right? Now think about, do you see people's ways? There are different ways of people's engaging in dana. Some people are approached by people asking a lot of things. They are not even giving anything. Maybe they cannot give. They don't have things. Sometimes they have things. But have you seen people when they are asked, even in a simple way, they want to give something to those people, right? So that means they have practiced generosity not in this life. They have practiced it in many previous lives. That's why this Dhamma journey is not going to be very practical to many people, because some of them may have not practiced it, started it in the past life or in many past lives. So we should have that connection, right? So nothing is random in Buddhism. Everything has a reason, cause and effect through conditions. So be a person who is willing to give the hand to those people who deserve your support, right? That's very important. I know that you may not be able to give that much depending on your budget, depending on your income, but at least you try your level best to give something to some, not even the Sangha members, to anybody. Even as I said earlier, maybe giving your time, giving your volunteer time, right? And then giving some space for other people in their conversations. Nowadays, people don't give space, right? In their family life, they want to talk a lot. All the other people have to listen to them. right? So there's no space for those people who want their voices to be heard on the other side, right? So dana is not bringing food to the temple and giving to the sangam. It's also making sure that you're giving space to other people to talk. You're giving space other people to be happy, right? This is also very important. That's also a higher level of dana. Not many people can do it, right? So payatapani means being able to have an open hand. Open hand means now at that time they didn't have digital type of payments. They gave everything through their hands, right? In some countries they have a certain cultural narrative. They say if you give with the right hand, don't let the left hand know that you gave from the right hand. That's possible. If you gave from the left hand, don't let the right hand know that left hand gave something to somebody. That means make your dana very private. Make your general. You don't have to show I gave this and that, right? But you know what you did within. That's your happiness. I mean, some people might not be able to do it. It's okay. But if you can do it at a certain point, you are happy. People talk about you or not, you are happy. That is our way of thinking about Chaga. Now here the Buddha says Payatapani means make sure that you have hands in the figurative sense that these hands are open anytime anybody within those ethical safe situations you can be generous, right? So that's payatapani. Then which one is the next? So let's say this one to be first, muttachagu second, payatapani third, and then vossagarato fourth. Okay, what is vossagarato? Rato means delighting. Vossagga means letting go. Letting go. Try to delight in letting go. Now, what are we doing in our daily life from morning to evening? Are we improving the delight in giving up, or are we improving the delight of bringing things over to us? Obtain. How can I get to that point? How can I get that much money? How can I get to my success? How can I make that connection? How can I do it? What is happening in our life from morning to evening? Are we trying to create this Chaga mentality from morning to evening, or are we trying to make Lobha Machari mentality from morning to evening? By default, what is happening is the opposite. So the Buddha said, Vosankarato, you may delight in lot of things. What are we delighted on normally? We are delighted on our sensual pleasures, right? May I know what are the sensual pleasures? How many sensual pleasures do we have? Basic one, huh? How did the Buddha explain sensual pleasures? How many sensual pleasures are there? There are 6 sensual pleasures. There are 6. I think I already shared with you many times. This is a very basic teaching. Number 1, Rupa. Rupa is number 1. Rupa means sights. We have a delight with regard to what we see. Number 2, Saddha. Now Saddha. Simple deep. Saddha means we have a delight with regard to sounds. Then Rupa, Saddha, Gandha. Gandha means smell. Rupa means sight. Saddha means sound. Gandha means smell. Rasa means taste. Then we call Pottampa means touch. And then Dhamma means thoughts. What are these? These are the 6 sensual pleasures in Buddhism, right? Now, what are we going to see here is that you can see what is the Pali word here? The Pali word here is, you can see, Vasaggarato. Vasaggarato means delighting in relinquishment. Normally we are delighted in these 6, right? Our delightment go about these 6, morning to evening. Now the Buddha is asking, it is normal that we have a delight with regard to these 6, but try to develop the opposite of these 6 too. Opposite means try to give up the delight with regard to these 6 that we are having excessively. Being able to see someone that you like is not a problem. But what if you are creating so much sensual pleasure to a level of clinging with regard to that person? You start to manipulate that person, you start to control that person, you start to reject everybody else, you start to become a very much a biased person. What about sounds? What about the food? If you create a craving with regard to the food, right, you will reject a lot of other food. You really want to have that particular food. Otherwise, you will make a lot of complaints. Right? Think about how many people are having problems with regard to making orders, and when the order is actually messed up, they are even messed up in the place, throwing at each other. They're trying to even fight, become violent. Why? They are so much into the taste. Even the people in the restaurant are saying, we will make another order for you. No, you make the time pass already. So they are making, that's the time we understand the hungry man is an angry man. That's a very good example at that point. They are very hungry, they are very angry as well. So that's why we look at it, all these single situations, as a place of delighting unnecessarily, excessively with regard to sensual pleasures. But if there is someone who wants to eat for a certain restaurant, there's no harm. Why is it? What if one day you lose your appetite? What will happen to you? You happen to lose your appetite. Will you be able to live any longer? No, you can't live. That means appetite means there are certain delighting level that everybody should have to have a certain happiness with regard to their life. That is okay. But what if it becomes very excessive? Then that's the place where we are not able to practice Vasaggarato. Right? Then we are into Rato, not Vasaggarato. Right? Vasaggarato means being able to delight with regard to the delight with regard to the giving up, right? So that's a very important quality. Now we go back to the Vigatamaramatti number 1, number 2 Muttachago, Paitapani number 3, Vasaggarato 4, 5th Yacha Yogo. Yacha. Who's Yacha? Yacha means beggar, right? Beggar, the people who are asking you things. Yacha Yogo, that means be someone who is eligible, ready to give something to somebody else. Normally, even the beggars are not approaching. If they know you, they are not if they know you in the sense that you haven't given anything to them in the past, they might not approach you, right? But sometimes when you start giving things to other people one day, next day more people will come to you and then ask a lot of things from you, right? That could be a problem too, right? So you have to know how to give. Yacha Yogo means be somebody who The people who don't have things can trust you and can approach you in the proper way so that you can give away those generous actions, generous things. Yeah, Chayo. That's also important. And then last activity with regard to Chaka means Dana Sangvibhaga Rato. This is something very interesting. Now here we will find the Pali word Dana. Dana Sangvibhaga Rato. Now may I know what do you think at this point? Dana was not there in this text before. Now the Buddha is saying Dana. That means Dana is an activity that comes inside Caga-sampada. Dana means simple giving, right? It is included in the dana activity. That means we are supposed to do the generosity in the chaga way. Now the Buddha is saying lay people to do two things. Under 6, dana samvit, delighted in giving and giving up in one set, dana, and sharing gift, samvibhaga. Samvibhaga means sharing. Delighted in giving up, and sharing. Why did the Buddha ask us to share? Why can't we give everything to others? Can we give everything to others? Can we give everything that we own to others? That is not possible, right? We may not be able to give everything. Then what if we cannot give everything? If things are suitable, if it is ethical, then we can share those things with the right individuals. Right? That means, now think about it, you can't do a katina ceremony by yourself, right? So then how could you do the katina? Then you have to get together with a group of people, right? And that sharing will help. Maybe there are so many occasions in your life you can think about, depending on the amount of money, amount of work, amount of time, you may not be able to give by yourself. The particular, you may need to team with someone. You may need to be with someone. Maybe you can share only your stuff, right? So the Buddha asks lay people to think about as a 6th activity in this Caga-sampada to consider sharing if you cannot give. So giving and sharing are both part of both activities, right? That's a very interesting activity. That means not it is not always possible for everyone to share everything, give everything all the time. So there are times that you may need to share your things ethically, ethically according to situation. All right, that's about Caga-sampada here. Ayang Uchati Caga-sampada. Can we go back again? The Buddha is saying, Vyagapajja, there is a lay person who is free from rusty stinginess, engages in the chaga through mutta chago, enjoying the freedom of giving up, being open-handed by the pani, being delighted in giving up bosagrato, being eligible to give, and by considering giving up at the same time, sharing as necessary. This is how a layperson is going to accomplish in one's generosity. So you have to consider one more time, couple more times, whether your generosity all the way until today, October 20th today, has been happening in line with these methods, 6 methods that we saw in the Caga-sampada. Now can we see some of the notes, some of the highlights about this topic from other angles. Difference between dana, chaga, I already mentioned that. The outward act of generosity is dana, measurable stuff, food, money, time, service, shelter, compassion. Primary role is supporting others' welfare. Chaga means the inward The dana is outward side, but chaga is inward purification through giving up, relinquishment. It's immeasurable. Dana is measurable, but this is chaga is immeasurable. Release of attachment, craving, clinging, pride, expectation, self-interest. Primary role is purifying one's own. May I know how did the Buddha teach you to practice chaga with regard to meditation? Meditation is also chaga. That's a very important observation. Now, say for instance, you are practicing breath meditation, right? In your house or in a retreat, wherever. Then, the more you practice any meditation, the better, the higher there is a chance that you might end up with thinking that I am much better than other people. Why? Because I spend time for meditation. I should have been a better person, right? Better person than, not even than myself, perhaps than other people. And the Buddha knew it. Buddha knew that if people meditate in that way, there is a higher chance of them practicing Sakkaya Ditthi in a better way, in a good way. That's why at the end of every Satipatthana practice, Buddha is adding a very beautiful practice that we have to do in addition to Satipatthana practice. What is it? Ajjatta Pahiddhava. Our next sutta will be Satipatthana Sutta. I think you will be liking a lot about that sutta because it's meditation stuff. So we will be discussing all that. So in this Satipatthana practice, every Satipatthana practice, Buddha is saying that you have to bring it to other people too. That means Bahiddhava means one has to think, it is not only me I can watch my own breath, other people, other sentient beings also can watch their breath. What does it mean? I have to give up even my feeling of practicing meditation as a higher thing than other people. I have to even let go that part. That means dana, but chaga is not only a generous activity. Chaga could be a balancing virtue with regard to any dhamma activity that you are doing. It is when people don't have chaga, they start boasting about their spiritual life. I am a better person. I learn a lot of dhamma. I know a lot of things. I can do this and that. That is when they don't know that chaga is a part of their dhamma journey, even at the level of chanting, meditation, and some other things. So chaga balances my pride. Chaga balances my unnecessary proud activities. Chaga balances my exaggeration. Chaga balances my overlooked aspects of my spirituality. In short, chaga is everything, right? That's why the Buddha said, accomplish in the chaga, right? So chaga is very inward, as we discussed here. It is relating to release of attachment, craving, clinging, expectation, self-interest. Because chaga is what helps us to purify our mind. Because, in all the Dhamma teachings, what the Buddha said was that purify our thoughts. How did he say so? Sabbapa passa akaranang kusalassa upasampada sacitta pariyo dapanang etang buddhana sasanang. If you want to protect the Buddha's order, the Buddha's teachings, you have to do three things. Sabbapa passa akarana, not to do any akusala, even a slight akusala. Number two, kusalasa upasampada, to do every kusala activity. Don't wait until temple organizes the good karma to go and do it. You do it in your own way, in your house. How to start your day with kusala? Follow the Buddha. What did he do every morning, every evening? Every morning, it is said that he scanned the world, universe. Who am I going to help out today? That was a very beautiful, compassionate thought. And by the evening, he did the same thing. He scanned the universe 2 times. Are we doing that too in our own way? We cannot be the Buddha, but are we doing it in our own way? Are we having a thought in every morning, every evening? Who am I going to help out today? Are we doing it? So that means we are not having that uh, kusala idea, right? That is the starting point. Some people might think, who am I going to bother today, disturb today, right? But today, that's not a kusala thought. So the Buddha's way is that who can I help today, every morning, when he sees certain people, individuals. And we can also think about today is a beautiful day. What can I do for other people? I always think about what I do, what can I get. We always self-interested about us. Then by the evening we are complaining, I'm very unhappy, I'm very bored, I have suffering. Why? Because we are more towards our self-interest all the time. Yes, we should have self-interest, but we are too much about it. Then a lot of suffering will come to us. And we complain to people who are around us, and we make their life, their day also very uncomfortable, right? So let us learn from the Buddha. Especially another very important thing is that we have to learn the life of the Buddha. Maybe one day I'm thinking to start another series of life of the Buddha, because a lot of people don't know the life of the Buddha. So we start learning from the Prince Siddhartha's birth until the Buddhahood and how he spent the life. Then we will learn the living stories, living examples. Because a lot of suttas are talking about certain very high-minded individuals and how the Buddha gave that. I mean, we have to learn them too, definitely. But when we learn about the Buddha's life, we can feel that how normal was the Buddha. He was a normal human being. How did he go through happiness, unhappiness? How did the people blame him? How did he manage them? How did he support people? Right? So then, kusala supasampada means try to do every single kusala activity. Don't wait until somebody organizes a good karma. Do it in your own way. Think about, come up with a good wholesome thought every day, at least couple times. And then sachitta pariyodapana, purifying one's thoughts, because our thoughts are always corrupted, right? Our thoughts are always corrupted, means they are always associating greed, hatred, delusion. So we have to clean them. We have to purify them. How to clean them? We can only clean them by bringing the opposite of those akusala. If it is greed, then I bring a lot of generosity. I do a lot of generous activities. If it is hatred, I try to speak with metta. I try to talk, act with metta. I try to think with metta. If it is delusion, I try to do everything with at least with some amount of wisdom. So this is what the Buddha says. So then Caga, I'm trying to tell you, Caga is the last thing, the most important thing, right? Actually, how do we stop not doing akusala, doing kusala? It's only by purifying our thoughts. That means Caga is the most important balancer here. Mindfulness will help us to find out where is the kusala, where is the akusala. But if we don't have the Caga mentality, it's very difficult for us to keep going on in our practice. Thus, dana is what is given, Caga is what is released. Both must be united for generosity to be spiritually complete. Okay, so we won't have a lot of time to discuss all these, but we will pick up the topics very simply. Giving with expectations, transactional generosity, which is not what the Buddha is saying, right? Giving without expectations, liberative generosity is important. But this does not mean that giving a compliment Acknowledging the receipt of the giving is bad. So whether other people like or not, we have to acknowledge, we have to be grateful to them. But how they are going to process those acknowledgements is their Dhamma activity. But in case someone is not to acknowledge you, if someone is not to be grateful to you, don't worry, because you have Chaga practice. You have accomplished your Chaga practice. Intention matters with regard to this Chaga. Actually, intention is what we discussed. Volition is what we discussed with regard to Chaga in the process. Modern Dana culture, social pressure. Do we have that? Let's take a look at this. In many Buddhist societies, temple fundraising or ceremonies can create pressure to give large donations. While supportive, such culture may unintentionally prioritize wealth over sincerity. The Dhamma reminds us it is not about how much always, but how mindfully. There's no harm in donating a lot if one can afford it. However, the true spirit of Dana is not measured by the amount given. Even a small act of generosity carries equal value when done with the right intention. So that means we have to welcome everybody. We don't have to say that only when you give this much of donation you accept it, right? Everyone is welcome. But if you can give large amount, go for it. There's no harm for that. But that should not pressurize someone who cannot make it. And more importantly, in one of my classes I mentioned lately, there was a monk called Lakuntaka. He was a very short monk, very, very short. But he was an arahant. And the Buddha was telling his previous story. Why he became a very small, very short person. It is because in one life, he was also doing dana activities. When people wanted to donate more, he stopped them in asking, why do you donate more? You don't have to donate this much. Just donate half of this money. So he prevented. Actually, what he prevented was his height in the next life. If you prevent someone's donations, nobody would like to become very short, right? So this doesn't mean someone who is already short may be short because of that. But in that story, Venerable Lakuntaka was short because he stopped other people in doing those donations. If someone wants to donate, we just encourage, please go and donate. We have no problem with regard to it, right? So that is also something we have to understand while not being pressurized. Giving with limited means, the Buddha said, give what you can. Okay, when you are in generosity, you will expect respect, blessings, recognitions, right? Maybe when you offer dana, you will ask monks to give a blessing. That is not a problem. Maybe when you give dana, you might say, I want to give good karma to my late mother, late father. It is okay, right? They are very innocent thoughts, right? But what if that you are expecting things that by giving dana, may I become this and that? That could be a problem with regard to chakra. Purification. Okay, finally, ideal practice with regard to this generosity is integrating dana, chaga together, right? As we discussed earlier, give open-handedly, paitapani, rejoice in letting go of sankarato, be responsive to request yachayu, delight in giving and sharing dana, samibhagavatu. All right, so this is what we've been discussing today. Now, I will be asking anyone, if you have any question, you can come up to the mic and ask the questions.
Sukyoto Bhante. Sukyoto.
Yes, good evening.
Brothers and sisters, good evening. Bhante, my question is this, about is with regards to the last class about a person approaching death or treating death, his own death. For context, this person comes from a very large family, and his family members, his uncles and aunties, grandparents, are all faced with a common ailment, that is cancer. So this person has seen how cancer ravaged their family members. And none of the family members, even in spite of extensive and expensive medication, survive cancer. Now, one day the person is struck with cancer. He doesn't have faith in Western medication or treatment because he has seen that this situation in his family, there is not much hope. So if this person does not want to proceed on with cancer treatment and he says, I will just leave it naturally, does this mean that he has, in a context, if he's a Buddhist, have he deliberately not trying to save his own life? Is this breach? Is this not abstaining from killing, even killing himself? That's my question, Bhante.
Okay, interesting.
Opinion, please.
I think you are referring to euthanasia section we discussed last week.
Yes.
Euthanasia has two euthanasia: active euthanasia and passive euthanasia. So now in this case, this person seems to be not getting support for the treatments, right? There's no support from family, insurance, anything. So the person, if it is in the right condition, could think about the causes, conditions, and effects. But we don't know whether the person has sought any support other than the family, from the government, from other sources. I think if he could, or she could, she or he could have done it before coming to a certain decision. Perhaps this is one thing he or she could have done. Second is he or she could have approached some other avenues other than those support. And if nothing is going to work out, if the cancer is spreading very badly, at least not having an attitude that I want to die, rather than I want to take care of myself until the moment I die. Not that I want to die now. Because the moment that someone creates, I want to die, that means I give up the life from that point and any longer. So I think those three things need to be investigated by the person. That is what I think, rather than thinking now I want to die after this because I don't get any support. Maybe that person is to think that I'm not getting support, so I want to die. That could perhaps create some hatred, anger towards his family also. Why are they not supporting me? I'm in dire need of money and then treatments, right? So I think he or she could have looked for some support system. In the event of not any support, the person can even have a better idea about his life with regard to how I understand this situation. Right? Not to create an idea that I want to die now. That is a giving up of life at that point. Yes.
So Bhante, back to the issue whereby there is support, there is love, there's metta and kindness within the family, and the person certainly can afford the treatment. However, he does not have faith that any medication can cure this ailment, as he has witnessed in the past. A lot of the family members have perished through this situation. So does this mean he has given up life, and is this akusala action of his, not seeking treatment?
Well, I don't think if we are cognitively functional, able to think about what is happening to us, it is not a good idea to give up life at any point. Although we know that body is deteriorating, something can happen to us anytime, because we know the virtue side. Because the moment that we give up, we might not consider about taking care of our body at that point. So I think it's better not to create that idea. Perhaps, I think this is a very strange example. Normally somebody normally helps, but it looks like there's no that support. I think looking for support, and if not, at least to have a better idea about life and what is happening. Maybe this could be a karma reason, this could be some other reason, but the patient should not create any single thought with regard to I want to give up my life if the patient is cognitively able. All right?
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Any more questions for today, Caga-sampada? All right. If there are no questions, then we will wrap this up by transferring good karmas and sharing good karmas. So let us reflect upon all the good karmas we've been doing today. May all the good karmas we've been making today by learning about Caga-sampada, accomplishment in giving and giving up, be transferred to all the departed ones who passed away in the name of all of us. May they be well and happy. May they attain the supreme bliss of it. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyatayu. Idam me nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyatayu. Idam me nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyatayu. May Deva Naga Mahitika receive all these good karmas. May they be well and happy. May they protect and bless all of you for good health, quality of life, prosperity, and safety. May they in particular bless your Dhamma journey. May Devanaga Mahidika also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha amhihi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha amhihi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha amhihi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe sattha anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahindika punyantang anumoditva Chirang rakhang pusasanang. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhang tudesanang. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhang tumang parang chirang rakhang tutvan sadati. Now we are moving on to making Dhamma wish. Our Dhamma wish is to wish to be around Kalyana Mittas, maybe be surrounded more Kalyana Mittas, maybe also become Kalyana Mittas to as many sentient beings as we can meet in our sansaric life till we attain Nibbana. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamu satang samagamu hotu. Finally, may all the good karmas which we've been making today by learning about the third accomplishment for the lay people for the next life, and that is Caga-sampada, be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain supreme bliss Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana Sirisa Nichang Vadha Pachaino Chattaru Dhamma Vadhanti Ayuvannu Sukhang Balang Ayurarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Iminati Samichatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now I would like to invite Sister Eng to conclude.
Thank you, Bhante, for the session tonight. Let us take 3 bows together to pay respect to Bhante. First bow. Second bow. Third bow.
Sadhu,
sadhu, sadhu.
With those bowing and then the teachings, our Sutta discussion comes to an end for today. We'll be seeing you next Monday at the same time. Wishing you a pleasant good night. safe journey back home. Thank you.
Thank you and good night, Bhante. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.